We are very happy today to welcome a very special guest all the way from Turkey, from Istanbul. This is an exciting conversation for multiple reasons. One is there has been just so much interest about the Middle East and that entire region. There's been just a lot of buzz within the Vitrina community about that region. And the second aspect is that we are actually going to talk about, one of the key aspects of our supply chain, which is really the technology enablement and the delivery of video signals. This is from that perspective a very very interesting conversation because we understand very little about this region, especially in that dimension, and how do companies really deliver high quality video content, especially in the streaming business and fast channels. So Siran Sevim is joining us today, founder CEO of Media Nova, all the way from Istanbul. Siran, a very very warm welcome from the entire Vitrina community to you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I feel great to be here. And thank you for the opportunity I am saying hi to everyone from Istanbul.
Fantastic. And again, as I mentioned, Sarkhan, this has been a very exciting region for a lot of our members. We have within our extended community of Vitrina members, we have about 100,000 folks who are all leaders in the supply chain. And the buzz about the Middle East has been growing and growing and growing. So, this is an exciting conversation for that reason as well. One of the places for us to get started would be to really give perhaps an elevator pitch about what Media Nova does and its lines of business.
Thank you so much. It was started 20 years ago, actually. It's a pretty old, pretty strong company. Profitable from day one. It's a bootstrap company, as we call it, for the last 20 years. So we've grown in the market in the region. So we believed in this region for the day one. So we are still seeing a lot of opportunity, and it's growing faster than ever. So the way we built Media Nova back then, it was from a need, actually. I'm Turkish. I lived in US for 8 years. So we were needing, at the time, we had a need of watching soccer, like football, real time, right? So streaming. So it was extremely high tech back then. So it was 2004 when we started. So we started with a project like serving this football content, like soccer content, to audience around the globe, Turkish Americans or Turkish, wherever, from 97 countries. This is the start of Media Nova. So it was pretty exciting back then. If you think Netflix used to deliver DVDs, that is streaming, YouTube was not there. So these are the times that we were doing football streaming, buffering, but still people were uploading, and they're like, great, like let's watch this for soccer. So that was the origin of Media Nova. That's how we started. And then around 2006, I moved back to Turkey, and I saw a great opportunity on streaming media and started building that business in Turkey. And we end up in the last 20 years, of course, we develop new services, but we end up working with government, like all the media companies, like in the regional wise. So pretty strong, pretty big tech. And today, the way we define our company is we empower our customers' digital journeys, because we have we see our platform as a distributed cloud. So distributed cloud is the next level of the cloud that, as we know. So everybody talks about the edge, everybody talks about like latency, low latency. So increase the performance. So CDN is the first app in the world, a content delivery network that uses distributed cloud and that serves customers around the globe, like either it's a video or security or data or anything. So we empower our customers' digital journey, but only we build products on our own distributed platform. So that's what we do.
Understood. No, that's fascinating. And also, thanks for sharing the journey about just how and when you started the Media Nova enterprise. One question that I had, Sarvan, for you was to also understand about your personal journey. How did you chance upon this as an area that you wanted to start a company in? Again, the move to Turkey and Istanbul from the US. Talk a little bit about both your sort of background in this business or in this technology, and then also what led you to move from the US to Istanbul.
Okay. I mean, my major is physics. So I love innovation. I love mathematics, or, developing, and I'm always fascinated by computers. I never worked for any company. So this is my third company. I started two companies before. I sold two of them. One of them, the first one was in the US. So it was a dot-com business, extremely successful. Back then, we were selling calling cards, again, to Turkish American communities. It was really high profit business. So I sold that business and then moved back to Turkey. The reason I moved, I said, a little personal reason, and I want to explore how we can grow our business and help Turkey as well in that process. So that was a little bit personal reasons. But I always loved technology and digital. And funnily enough, back then, we believed in this technology. We were questioning why not everybody forget all the old media and move right away to streaming media, right? So because you can monitor everything, you can measure everything. Your ads are extremely, they reach the right person. But still, today I still see a lot of challenges in the industry. Like we provide, for example, real-time analytics, extremely real-time. I mean, like in a couple of seconds, you see everything what's going on per user base. If you are running, like you want to see every error, like not just a bunch of error, every error you want to see what's going on in somebody in LA, in Venice Beach. You want to know somebody in Riyadh. Like you can do that with the data, right? So basically, every day we see new challenges, and that fascinates me to understand companies' challenges and try to help technology, which we know the best, and help our customers with this product, right? So that's why we call ourselves empowering your digital journey, not just the content delivery, not just security, not just data. So wherever it's needed, that's how we evolve our company and trying to be next to our customers when they need us.
No, that's just a fascinating journey of how the insights into that particular gap led you to start Media Nova. One question was that at the time that you started Media Nova, obviously the region looked very different. It was cable and satellite. It was telcos. Of course, telcos are still very relevant, but of course, satellite cable has shifted a little bit in terms of its relevance and also the delivery of linear channels. That has changed quite a bit. Talk a little bit about the how the landscape has changed and how Media Nova has actually evolved and grown, especially given the fact that streaming is just so big now worldwide.
Yeah. I mean, one advantage I have personally is that like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I am coming from a telecom business. So my first company I started when I was doing my master's degree in the US, it was a telecom company. We were selling calling cards, which a lot of our audience maybe doesn't know what it is, but you used to call a number and punch your PIN. And instead of paying $1 per minute, you pay like 10 cents a minute. So that was a calling card platform. So we were able to integrate that into a web platform. So you were doing everything online. So today, everything seems easy, but back then it was a big challenge. So the reason I'm saying that, back then we were talking about voice over IP, VoIP. And my idea back then was nobody will know about VoIP in the future because everything will be over IP, voice over IP, meaning that you send your voice over internet. So nobody talks about it anymore because everything 100% runs on IP networks, right? So basically, I realized the same will happen to streaming media. So because it has so many big advantages, you know who your customer is, you know who the user, where the user, what clicks, what doesn't clicks, how much they watch, everything, like if you compare that from our industry, if you compare this to a regular TV, it's 100% obvious, right? And there are sayings that, one of the largest OTT platforms in the world, you know who this is, but I don't want to give the name. The reason they lost a lot of major content brands is that they didn't share the data. We read that like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, right? So they didn't share the usage data. They knew for sure who is watching which movie, how long, which scenes are the best. And that's how they produce their own content probably. So the data was extremely critical. So I saw that trend. And when I was in Turkey, like in 2006, I started Media, and when I saw it, of course, we were in stone age of streaming. People didn't care. The servers were down, up, like it didn't work for a week. Nobody cared. And my time before the first 2 years, I was trying to explain everyone what streaming is, like why it's important. But today, I think we are about 40%, 50% maximum penetration. So we still have a lot of room to grow, and still our kids and young generation are growing with different platforms. the challenges are obvious. So there are still needs, companies like Medionovo, who knows what they do, who understands from start to end. So basically, that's very key, actually, like try to help the customer. So, and another thing you didn't ask, but this is really important for me. I'm kind of advocate. People say CDN is a commodity. I couldn't disagree more. I mean, yes, when you buy it, or if you look from a distance, is a commodity? True. I'm going to say AI is a commodity. I can get AI from anywhere, right? So that sounds, AI, is it commodity? No, maybe it's CDN is the same. If a business like us, like our competitors, we are focusing 100% on content delivery to make things perfect, to make this really low latency. If you focus for 20 years, still there are areas to develop, there are areas to do better. I think we have a lot of room to go and sell the commodity. It's a big need. It's important needs. When you show the customers or content owners the real data, what's really happening, how much error you got, like who are the customers are not happy, who has buffering issue, who is start issue, or when you see that, then you realize, okay, we have a lot of room to go and we need different solutions for different cases. So I wanted to add that as well.
No, that's very, very relevant. In fact, that's a good segue in the next question that I had, which was really about your clientele. So, what companies? I mean, again, that clientele would have evolved. You talked about VoIP to begin with, telcos. There was like so much buzz about IPTV in the day.
Yeah.
And of course, all of that has sort of rolled into now streaming, and everything is over IP. I was actually curious about your current clientele. What sort of companies need your services? And then some of the new clientele and how that's changing. One of the things that we met in Hollywood recently, and one of the things that I was fascinated by what you said was that there are a host of global streaming players who are still coming into the market. So talk a little bit about the clientele and how that's evolving at this point.
Sure. I mean, the beauty of being a 20-year-old company and this ecosystem, we developed a lot of different products. Again, from a distance, everything looks the same. Everybody calls CDN a CDN. But if you go to distance, or if you come closer, you realize there are many different know-hows and features for different markets, right? So basically about 30%, 40% of our business comes from media companies, content owners. And these content owners now, there are different content owners. Now, there are short form videos, which is totally different ball game than running a VOD platform, which is a totally different ball game than a live stream. So basically, the largest video OTT platform, VOD platform, when they run live stream, there are challenges. So they have the resources, they have the funds, they have the network, they have the hardware, they have the engineers, but they still have challenges on the live streaming. So that's a different business. So it made, the beauty of we have different kinds of companies. And for social media, for example, we work with the largest social media in the world from Asia. I don't want to give the name, but people know probably from the US news and everything. So basically, that kind of companies have extremely challenging metrics that you have to match to win the business, right? So we work with them for the last 5 years. So when you roll and scroll videos, so you expect every video to start within milliseconds, right? So it's a lot different than running a VOD where you have the large buffer, 2-3 minutes of buffer in case something happens, nothing happens on the customer side. So these are different games that we serve. Like short form video, you have to make sure your time to first frame is extremely fast. So the user experience has to be important and people should keep watching, right? On video side, on VOD, on demand. So basically what you do is you are trying to deliver the highest throughput with the high bitrate, because you want to make sure then in the second case, you have a really good quality and in different regions. So maybe you're going to ask that as well, but the reason Medionovo is focused on that kind of product, right? We want to differentiate ourselves with the Middle East because, or let's say exotic places, wherever is hard to get in, like Africa or Middle East, even sometimes Turkey, Azerbaijan, that kind of countries, we decided to be a key player on those regions. And that strategy worked extremely well. So we don't want to be number one in everywhere. We have a platform that's competitive enough for the US. We have for Asia. We have for Latin. but we want to be extremely well on the Middle East. So that's our video product. And when you serve the video product, of course, you serve for their encoding, which means you understand from encoding, transcoding, which means you can help your customers,
Right.
to fix their, especially mid-sized to small customers, right? So if they have an OTT platform and they want to make sure they have some freezing issues, you can get in and I can put a solution engineer on the Slack. They can just work together to fix one of their settings so that everything's set. So these are the services that we think it's important. We know that large competitors of ours, they are on the news. Everybody knows them. That's great. But you never know who you are dealing with. You don't have a direct Slack channel. So these are the things that we differentiate a little bit. That's how we win business, actually.
Understood. No, that's super fascinating. And you did cover actually a raft of different players, especially in media and video entertainment. So right from social media to short clips to live streaming and
Yep.
streamers. Your original use case about soccer. How do you the sports live streaming have also evolved quite a bit. You've got this additional layer of mobile users. You've got large screens. Again, both of those devices, I'm sure, have their own individual challenges. Is live stream also a very big component of your current solution?
Correct. Yes, we do live stream. Technically, is our first ever use case, right? So that's how we started.
That's right.
20 years ago. So 21 years ago, actually. So basically, the challenge with sports streaming is even more than the live stream. And one of the key aspects is that you have to understand the user behavior. For example, if you rerun a match, a game, nobody will watch it. So that's a fact. I mean, like, you can try it to rerun a FIFA final or whatever. Like, if you don't do short clips like some instant, that's okay. That should work. But other than that, nobody will watch it, right? So live sports is always when you watch it at that time. So it has to be ultra low latency. Another thing is you need to make sure, or you need to understand, if a game starts at 7 p.m., people log in at 7 p.m. So that's something that most platforms have hard time to understand, especially if they don't have a lot of expertise on live. Because when they log in at the same time, at the same moment, it creates like a DDoS effect, which is like, it's a big attack on your network.
Right.
Back then, that's how we felt, like that. People are coming, like, and literally we were advertising back then, like 20 years ago. Hey, can you log in like 10 minutes before or 20 minutes? Because like, just we were trying to distribute that login product. These are the little things that there are many of them that a content owner, first, they should understand. And they should get a partner who understands that little specifics. But I see a huge opportunity on sports streaming. And the beauty of it, you don't have to wait for a large media company to buy the rights and give it to you on prime time. You don't have to wait that. If you are a fan of sailing, you can watch it live, especially in today's world. Any camera, anything can be a source for a live stream. So that's a huge challenge. If today you can watch a Formula car within the car, the inside of the car. Maybe tomorrow you will watch a skiing competition, from the helmet of the skier itself. So there are many things that's coming up. So the network wise, we have to be ready. And this new content or new production, let's say, new way of producing, creates a new markets that wasn't there before. For example, about 10 years ago, I'm a sailor, by the way. I love sailing. We are racing in China, in Turkey, in Italy. In this race, yacht racing, since I know it, so I said, and I'm an innovative guy, so I said, why not we live stream this race, right? So we used drones maybe 10 years ago, and from inside the boats, like drones, and we were streaming the content from that. And it was extremely fun. We had a new audience. We were partnered with Vodafone back then, Vodafone Turkey. So new audience who wants to watch a live, sailing competition within the boat. You see the excitement. So these are the things that I think is coming on the production level. And us as a technology provider, we need to be ready and understand all this new content type of thing.
Those are fascinating use cases. Thanks for sharing that, Serkan. One aspect that I was curious about was that, let's take two scenarios, right? You've got global players who want to enter into the Middle East and your region.
Correct.
But there are a host of audiences outside of the Middle East who are wanting to access content from the Middle East.
Yeah.
Those two use cases, right? Global companies wanting to come in versus global audiences wanting content from the Middle East. In both of those use cases, is your solutioning very different? Is it similar? How do you sort of look at that part?
Well,
Maybe just to add one more dimension to that, the third could be just a local company serving locally. I'm sure that you folks are doing great, but I was sort of curious about the global aspect to it.
Correct. Yes. I mean, as you said, like there are different use cases. Maybe that's the challenge of companies like us. There are different use cases. Now, what we focused on for the last 5 to 6 years, we see Middle East and Africa is the next big digital frontier. So there are like almost 1 billion people living in that region. So basically, and they watch a lot of things. They use a lot of mobile, about 50%. If in Africa, for example, we see a lot of Starlink, interesting as an ISP. So Starlink is serving a lot of content in Africa. So basically, we needed to be ready for this next digital frontier, and we understand the culture. It's difficult or different, let's say, than the Western culture. So we got a lot of Chinese and Asian large OTT companies who delivers content in the Middle East. And also we have a lot of American companies, and we want to get more obvious with this use case. If they want to grow their business in a fashionably way and in a good performance, low latency, and we urge them to use multi-CDN. And with the multi-CDN, we urge them to provide like a regional traffic to regional CDNs. Why? Because the large American companies that we know, they're already busy building the US, Europe, like these are the big markets given. So it's there and they're going to grow there. We also compete in that market. But to really differentiate from that, we built this Africa and Pakistan, Saudi, Saudi is unbelievable. Like there are enormous opportunities in Saudi Arabia. They will invest $3 trillion in the next 5 years to build Saudi again. $3 trillion just in Saudi. So they are transferring new soccer players, putting a lot of infrastructure, new cities. Like it's unbelievable what's going on. So any company who is missing that will regret for the next 10 to 20 years. So basically, we are there. And also another key differentiator is when we built these networks, Mediano is the number one, the first CDN who built the network in Saudi. The first CDN, we got awards for it, like in UAE, for example, in Kuwait, Qatar, Egypt, right? So these are large markets. So basically, that's how we differentiate first to help our customers. For example, if you have a live stream, football, a specific content that you want to reach that region, we have the capacity for it. And it's not just a small pop that, to trick the data and make sure you look good. We have a real pop and strong pops that we deliver the largest social media companies or the largest OTT companies for that region.
Fascinating. And again, you referenced Saudi. There is again so much curiosity about what's happening there on the media side. Sports, they've actually sort of you're right. They've just invested so much on different sorts of sports that they're trying to bring into Saudi. One question that I was curious also was since we were discussing different markets and countries, how's your sort of geographical expansion right now progressing? Which are the markets that you've recently gone into? Which are the markets that you want to go into? Would be great to understand that aspect.
Sure. We go to locations where others doesn't go. We are trying to pick, like we get we have a map, like global map that latency, that shows latency, right? So we just filter one of our biggest competitor and we see where they are not there. I mean, like it can be Africa, for example. Recently we launched 2 pops in Africa, another 2 pops, and Egypt, like we grow. And these pops are not like just small platforms, like they're really big. So basically, Lebanon, for example, we just recently last week launched it. So these are the niche countries, niche operators. Azerbaijan is coming. Pakistan, we launched it like a couple of weeks ago. So we want to make sure we cover this region very well, hand to hand with the operators. And most of the time, we got support of local governments as well, because they want to bring the content inside. For example, in Saudi Arabia, we are really in great terms with the Saudi government. They help us a lot, and I thank them from here. So they have this goal to reach every user. They want the content to reach every user in less than 25 seconds. Right. So that's it. Like it's like Europe. So they have this goal. They are working really hard to help us to, to bring the content locally, make sure it's within their KPI. So every bit, every byte reach the end user less than 25 milliseconds, which is great. So that's how they build, how they support. We are trying to convey this message to large American companies like maybe Warner, maybe Snap, maybe Netflix, saying that, hey, we can help you and we can help Saudi, right? Just to bring that together so that large market, that's, a huge purchasing power per capita is a huge market. Like they love content. So this is a great market to be in, and that's where we can help actually. So that's what we're trying to do.
Understood. No, that makes a lot of sense. And again, I realize, second, that to deliver such such a wide network across very different geographies and different markets and countries, I'm sure you encounter all sorts of different use cases in terms of devices, density of those devices, just the strength of those networks that finally deliver last mile. One question which I had was that, talk a little bit about your partners and partnerships that you've built over the last 20 years, right? I'm sure it takes a very wide network of partners to deliver high quality services like as you do. What kind of partners do you already have? What kind of partnerships are you still sort of looking for, especially in the new expansion that you have in plan?
I mean, definitely we partner with telecom operators, local operators. They want to have better service to their end users. And we act like a bridge with the content owners and the telcos. And the challenges, like specific challenges in our region is that, it's not a fully open market, right? So if there are like three main telecom operator, they don't want to peer with each other. They want to peer in Europe. So that's the challenge. And if you don't have the right partners in the right places, there's no way you can deliver large content, right? Large meaning like high traffic content. For test POC, perfect. Now, no problem. I mean, but if you want to run a high traffic or very good low latency streaming, then you have to have the right people on board, which are the telecom operators. So that helps. And to solve that problem, you need to be transparent and not be too arrogant. So I'm sorry to use that word, but sometimes some companies they don't want to see telecom operators as partners. So that needs to change, right? Because they are important part of the equation. So basically, that's where we help actually. Same thing with for example Azerbaijan, or same thing with Pakistan. Or you need to invest your technology, your platform, and they also help with their infrastructure or sometimes network and give you the best result. And it's a win-win scenario. At the end of the day, end user wins, operator wins because they keep the traffic locally, and we win as the technology provider, and also the content owner wins because they got more customers. So I mean, this is not a zero-sum game.
That's right.
Somebody doesn't need to lose, right? Everybody wins as long as we all add value.
Right. Yes, and I totally agree with you on just the attitude, the right attitude for partnerships going forward. The 2-3, I mean, this is opening up lots of questions actually, Sarkan. So I'm trying to figure out which ones to ask first. I think I was curious about also on the services side. Let's take or services or even technology side. What sort of partner network would you bring in that dimension? That was one. My guess is that some of the analytics solutions that you talked about as services, those were all in-house and in-house built as part of your platform, right? Okay.
Correct. One thing I like actually, I like building things, right? So maybe with most entrepreneur, and there is a saying in my company, I lived in the US for 8 years. I speak, I think, well English, so I can understand and explain myself. And I could easily start a 2 people, 3 people company, import some equipment and sell it to Turkey, sell it somewhere else. I could easily do that. But I want to build things in the technology arena. That's my personal mission and motivation. So that's why I'm too focused to building. So whatever we do, we are trying to build internally. Of course, there are things that we outsource. There are things that we partner if we believe this is not on our core strategy, but we don't do anything. We only do few things that we feel extremely confident, like content delivery, performance group is okay. We do that very well, with 100% SLA. we think support is a huge differentiator. I don't like to wait for people, especially for my business, right? So I don't like, personally, I don't like it. Like, I don't want to write to support at something.com and, wait and hope and pray for their support, especially if my business is 24/7 live business, right? I don't want to do that. So, and if I don't pay $1 million per month, right? So you have to wait. That's basic understanding. So we are trying to differentiate by building our own products, by understanding the product, and also by supporting through Slack channels with the real engineers. Like this is easier said than done, right? So it's really, when you say it sounds easy. It's not easy to support your customers, but we know for a fact that we do a lot of surveys. We understand, we listen to our customers. They love that, right? So that differentiator is a key on the success of a digital company, right? So that's one thing we do. We build our own product. We support it very well. And in terms of product base, we kind of differentiate. We divide the company into three. One is performance, we call like the CDN, image optimization, like encoding, transfer, that's kind of group. And the second is security. So for DDoS attacks, APIs, so we realize this is also a problem for our customers. And the third line is real-time big data, right? So we are also investing into that. And we want to make sure, first of all, we want to see what's going on in our platform. And then we want our customers to see what's going on their service. And it can be even, we are, I think, the only company on the CDN ecosystem that provides latency information on each transaction. So when we push that log to our customers, we are like, it's transparent, right? So they can blame us like, hey, your latency. Well, we want to do that. We want them to tell it back to us and say, hey, you are not that great. So why you route this traffic? The major CDNs doesn't want to do that, right? They just say, we are good. That's it. If you have the means, you use your own monitoring, right? But we don't do that. We push all the logs, make sure we are adding value.
Got it. And no, and that transparency, I'm sure, is highly appreciated with a host of your clientele. One question was also relating to gaming. Is gaming big? Which pockets is gaming sort of coming up in? And is there a big play for you in especially a lot of peer-to-peer gaming networks that are coming up? Is that a big factor right now in your plans?
Well, we serve gaming companies. Turkey is a big market for gaming. Also, Saudi Arabia is I think, second big market in this region.
That's right.
So basically, because the income per capita is pretty high, especially in Saudi. So, they spend a lot of money on games. So Turkey is the same. We got like 85 million people living in Turkey, young population. So that's a given that we serve gaming companies. We are not on the peer-to-peer. But what we do for some gaming companies of ours, like we help them with our edge compute services, like these are like, in different regions. So when they need like hardware or that kind of stuff, so we help them. So at the end of the day, I think gaming is interestingly important, and Turkey, that's a big plus for us. Biggest gaming companies in the world, actually. One company just next door, they do $5 billion a year revenue just with like 3-4 games. Another one just sold to Zynga a couple years ago. So basically, Turkey has, I think, as far as I know, about like 2,000 gaming companies, really good. And so it's a big market. Like, and these are not just startups. Like, I'm talking about like big legitimate companies serving the world. So I think that helped us a big time on the gaming industry. Yeah.
Got it. Moving on, Serkan, let's talk about your competitors.
Yeah.
There has been a lot of consolidation in this industry. There is also a word of some companies maybe not doing so well at this time, and hence might actually be either up for consolidation or maybe shutting down some services. What's your read of the market and how you're dealing with that, especially from a competitive landscape perspective?
That's a great question. Thank you so much, Atul. I think there's a huge opportunity for companies who are well managed and making money. So I mean, I'm pretty old, so basically I know the whole internet. Like I started my career right before the internet started in 1998, around that range. So that notion of Amazon's first day, for example, they were losing money, their share go up. Like they lose more money, their share goes up, and that notion started with the internet businesses, right? Making no money, you are still valuable, right? So that's a tricky mindset for investors, because if the company is managed bad, like if there's a problem in the management, you don't see the difference, right? The company is losing money, so they are spending more money. So the only thing you can look, maybe the growth numbers, but some
Mm.
companies, the failed CDNs, like there are four large ones, the failed
Okay.
CDNs, although they grow the numbers, their expenses are growing more, right? So basically, it's hard to understand. And I can say that for confidence, because I've been in the data room of one of them. We were trying to acquire that failed company, maybe the assets. So we were in the data room. With my 20 years of experience, I couldn't see that I could save this company, right?
Wow.
I couldn't say to myself, I look at it, it's so badly managed, like, so, you can see on all the metrics, all the numbers, it didn't make sense. Nothing made sense. So basically, just to add more revenue, they were buying at 10 and selling to 5, losing money right there, So basically, that's an opportunity because we make money, we are profitable, and I see, the large ones as well, like, Akamai is making money, obviously. So, that there are other big, strong companies coming up that I like from Europe. So they're also making money. So these are the days for us because
Yep.
we'll be around and we are good managed. And another opportunity I see is in the market now. With my calculations, like if you add like Agio, StackPath, Lumen, Quilt, these are all high-end companies, right? If you add their revenues per year, you come up to numbers like maybe 700 million to $1 billion, right? And that business, just that business, is disrupted. So, for example, I am an OTT company, right? There is no chance that I didn't hear about Akamai, but I choose someone else, right? So, and that company is bankrupt, so I'm back to Akamai. So basically, that's an opportunity, I believe, for companies like us, because I think I see this market, this disrupted market. So that companies, maybe today they are working with the CDN because they have to, because they
Right.
need to save a day. But with the multi-CDN strategy, it can be a regional play, or it can be a support, or it can be something else. I think there's a big opportunity for other CDNs like us. So that's what we are betting on.
Okay.
And I recently sold 49% of my company to big European funds like EBRD, IFC, that kind of companies. So just to be stronger for this big opportunity.
That is fascinating. And look, I mean, again, the fact that, this Media Nova has been a bootstrapped company, the fact that it's been profitable has obviously attracted, private equity partners to join in your journey. That's always a happy story, just in terms of, how good economics and good business practices and good math relating to bottom line growth is always appreciated. So congratulations on that transaction. Actually, that's a
Thank you.
big deal.
Yeah, I think
When did you conclude that?
it was last December.
Okay.
Actually, I mentioned at the beginning, like I sold two businesses before, so I'm not new onto that. But these two were 100% exit. So,
Okay.
and this time, I wanted to have a partners, right? And they came in to Medionova because of the success, because of the
Okay.
profits we can produce, and because of the opportunity that there is. So
Right.
basically, they came for this bigger success. So I wanted their expertise as well on the field. So I mean, I can run this business with no problem, right? For many years, but I think we can make a big story out of this. So that's where we are now. So that's why I didn't want to exit for 100%. So
Got
I
it.
want to keep my large majority shares still in the company, still run the company. But I
Right.
think there will be a fascinating things with the security, the big data delivery. I mean, distributed cloud is the next big thing to me. So I'm 100% betting on that.
Fascinating. No, this is such an exciting journey that you've had. In my last segment, Serkan, I wanted to talk to you about future outlook. There's lots of stuff happening in our industry, also in the tech world. There's AI. There's very heavy compute and all sorts of innovations happening in that industry. Gaming is going to be big. Advertising is going to be big. Fast channels. Netflix has announced a big ad push. Prime Video has announced a big ad push.
Yeah.
So we are seeing, massive sort of opportunities from a growth perspective, but there is also a transition. We talked about linear, we talked about box office, we talked about how do you see some of these changes? Which are the ones that you really want to bet big, especially from a Media Nova perspective? Would love to get your thoughts on that part.
Thank you. I mean, I am always trying to get maybe I'm 52 years old. So sometimes I want to go slow and try to get out of the noise. I don't like buzzwords. I don't jump onto them. When I hear stuff like, I don't want to name because some people may believe in it, but AI is not a buzzword, that's for sure. But how are we going to use it? Like, are they going to be robots everywhere doing everything and we sit down and do nothing? I don't think it's going to happen too soon. So my job at Medionova is to find small use cases, small things that really works, right? I'm not trying to say, hey, we'll have only 3 people in the company, everything will be done. I'm not there yet. I don't think it's going to happen soon. But if we can find really small use cases where we can use big data that we have and train it and then use that, right? So that's my goal. That's what I'm trying to do in life. Like 1 case, 2 cases, that's it. Like if I can make sure this is running perfect, then I will move to the next one. That's my AI strategy. Of course, we use a lot of tools for CRM sales or, like some monitoring. They come up with AI tools. Great. Let's use them. But if we are to improve our CDN, I think we have a huge chance to do 1 or 2 things great than try to do many things, right? Because, I mean, I'm thinking every day about the technology, where we are coming from, where we are going to, and I'm hiring a lot of people. We are talking to a team. So basically, in data or traffic, right? It's unbelievable, right? So basically, you can install some server, just play with it, put some settings. If you don't have the traffic, you never know what's going to happen, right? So that's a huge know-how. So the CDN companies, our main advantages, we already have the data. For example, if you are an appliance company who builds like security business and you do $4 billion in sales, I don't care because their data visibility is limited. They don't know how people use, so they are trying to learn, but we are already there. So that's the success of some of the big security companies like Cloudflare. It's a huge success. So basically, that's why they're acting fast. So we will have the data. We can use this data to see and to act upon. And if we can leverage AI with 2 use cases, that would be a huge start. And that's how I try to position Mediono, not to be too excited about it, everything, we will do this, we will do that. Of course, we are trying, but, we are trying to find 1 or 2 use cases. That's our goal.
Understood. No, that makes a lot of sense. And look, I mean, especially, I'm sure, all teams, across major companies are trying to figure out what's the right path forward, especially with all this buzz and this big anxiety of what's going to happen with AI and so on. I think what you talked about from a use cases perspective, small use cases, and then really deliver those to the team.
Sure.
I think that absolutely makes sense. Look, Serkan, this has been a absolute pleasure. I think I've learned so much from this conversation, both about the region, about Media Nova and its activities, and also some of the pressure points that you talked about that are happening within that region to deliver high quality video in the streaming business and in the media and entertainment business. Thank you so much for talking to the Vitrina community today. Absolutely.